Hey guys, Mr. Mineblox here from the Road Philosophy Productions channel, and today we're going to do my very first train history documentary, and this train documentary is going to be the history of Thomas the Tank Engine. So let's begin. A long time ago there was a boy named Reverend W. Autry. He was born in England, and he grew up in a place called Box, somewhere in England, and as a child he would listen to the sounds of steam engines going up grades in the middle of the night, and he said, "There was no doubt in my mind that steam engines all had definite personalities. I would hear them snorting up the grade, and a little imagination was needed to hear in the puffings and paintings of the two steam engines the conversation they were having with one another." And so this eventually inspired him to do railway stories, and eventually he made a railway book called The Three Railway Engines. And he grew up, had a diploma from school, and he would get married and have 2 daughters and 1 son named Christopher. And one night Christopher was sick with measles, and Wilbur decided to make railway stories to keep Christopher amused when dealing with the sickness. And he told him the story about Edward, and eventually he would make a toy train of Edward, and Christopher would ask his father for a model of Gordon, but eventually he couldn't make one, so he decided to make a model of a tank engine, and eventually Christopher named the tank engine Thomas. And so Wilbur made stories of Thomas the Tank Engine after doing the Three Railway Engines book based on Henry, Edward, and Gordon. And so there was all sorts of Thomas books that he made. And in the year 1953, they were planning to put Thomas on television, but the first attempt did not go so well. When they were filming the sad story of Henry, they made models of Henry and all sorts of Thomas trains, but due to an engine hitting the points that were not set correctly and derailed, an on-screen member's hand would be seen putting the engine back on the rails during the recording. When Wilbur saw that, he called it an elementary mistake and complained about the mistake of the engine derailing after the points that weren't set properly. And so they decided not to do the television version. That was until 1980 when a woman named Brett Alcroft was inspired by his Thomas stories, Wilbert's Thomas stories, I mean. And so they decided to try and put Thomas on TV. And they had 2 musicians for the show, Michael O'Donnell and Junior Campbell. And Brett Alcroft was trying to look for a voice actor to voice both seasons of Thomas, Season 1 and Season 2. Eventually she found a voice actor named Ringo Starr. She asked him if he can voice in Thomas, and he agreed to the terms. And so he voiced in Season 1 and Season 2. And after the Thomas and Friends show became a success in the United Kingdom, Brett Alcroft was looking for a way to bring Thomas to other countries around the world. Thomas' next stop was the USA, and Brett Alcroft met a man named Rick Singlelow, who showed him the clip of Thomas and asked, "What can we do with it?" And eventually they came up with the idea of making another train show called Shining Time Station, with Ringo Starr acting as an 18-inch tall man called Mr. Conductor. And what else? And so they started that show in 1989, filmed in New York City, and with Didi Khan as station manager Stacy Jones, and Leonard Jackson as Harry. And so, and Mr. Conductor would tell the stories of Thomas the Tank Engine in the Shining Time Station episodes, where they put a couple of Thomas episodes in Shining Time Station where Mr. Conductor tells them to the Shining Time Station kids. and that's how American audiences managed to see Thomas. And so Thomas became a success in America, looking through Shine Time Station. And so Thomas was spread all over other countries like Japan, Canada, all sorts. But they were left alone without Shine Time Station. America was the only one to see Thomas through Shine Time Station. Right? And also, when Wilbur was making the Thomas books, his son Christopher Autry was making the rest of the Thomas books for him, so Wilbur retired from making them. And with Wilbur and the help with his brother George, decided to make a place of where the engines would be, and that was the island of Sodor. And then after a success of Thomas being shown through Shine Time Station, when they were making Season 3, I think that featured the narrow gauge engines. Oh yeah, and also in Shine Time Station, Ringo Starr was eventually replaced by the late George Carlin, who acted as Mr. Conductor. And George Carlin narrated in the Thomas series too, through Season 3 to Season 4, along with Season 1 and Season 2. But yeah, Season 3 and Season 4, I believe, focused on the narrow gauge railway engines. And in Season 5, they decided to get a new voice actor, Alec Baldwin, to voice in Season 5, due to George Carlin's departure from the show. And also in Season 5, they did put, talk about floods, avalanches, real-world events, and a bit of death. But not like the death. I mean like in that episode where Stepney, the Bluebell engine, was nearly, you know what I mean. And soon Brett Alcott was thinking of making a... Oh yeah, and also Brett Alcott worked with David Midden in order to make the Thomas and Friends show, I forgot to mention earlier. Alright, as I was saying, and Brett Alcott eventually had the idea of making a Thomas movie, and she went for original ideas like Thomas and the Rainbow Railway, until eventually they decided to call it Thomas and the Magic Railroad, which was a movie that focused on both the Thomas universe and the Shine Time Station universe. And some of the employees and peoples thought it was a terrible idea due to Thomas being a British program and Shine Time an American program. But soon it eventually came to be and worked out, and they had Alec Baldwin as Mr. Conductor, Mara Wilson as Lily, and Peter Fonda as Burnett Stone. And originally, Mara Wilson was going to be the narrator of the movie instead of Alec Baldwin. And they also had a villain in the movie named P.T. Boomer, played by Doug Lentz, who was removed from the movie saying he was too scary for children. And so they just left with Diesel 10, the one and only villain in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. And also the original voice for Thomas was John Bellis. She immediately wanted him to do it until when test audience say that his voice was too old for Thomas, so they replaced John with Edward Glenn, who gave Thomas a younger sounding voice. And so, what else? And so they officially made Thomas and the Magic Road. That worked out well, in spite of removing P.T. Boomer and other stuff that were going to be in the movie that Burt Allcroft attempted to do. And Thomas and the Magic Road movie released in the UK on July 14, 2000, and July 26 in the US in 2000. And to the United Kingdom critics, they considered the movie cool, because since Shine Time Station was in the movie, the United Kingdom people were so confused of the Shine Time Station property, since Shine Time Station was only shown in America with Thomas in it, so American audiences can see Thomas. So yeah. But in America, they seen the both shows collide together in one movie. Sorry if I don't have that much to say, that's all I know about it. And soon after getting poor reviews about Thomas and the Magic Road, with the UK critics not understanding the Shine Time Station universe since they never seen it, and eventually Burt Allcroft would have to sell the Thomas and Friends brand show to a kid company called Hit Entertainment, and so Hit Entertainment owned the Thomas show for many years. But some people didn't like that kind of era of Thomas when Hit Hit Entertainment took over, because there was extremely lazy writing and stuff that people wouldn't understand, and making it an official baby show, as some put it. That was until 2012, when Hit associated with Mattel Creations, and Mattel Creations bought the Thomas show, and so far they made good Thomas episodes, making it good as it was back then. And that brings to now that Mattel runs Thomas today. And that's my history on Thomas the Tank Engine. Sorry if it was a bit weird and I forgot some stuff. I was able to mention it alright. And that's the end of this train video on this train channel. If you're interested in Minecraft or gaming videos, go to my main channel, Mr. Mineblox, where you can see loads of gaming videos on there. And guys, that's the end of this one. Remember to subscribe to this railroad channel and my main channel, Mr. Mineblox. And I'll see you next time. Bye.